Biden could declare war on Russia or tell Israeli officials to, quote, keep alive the honor of the Holocaust, both of which, by the way, he's actually done. So there's never any upside in letting Joe Biden speak in public. But unfortunately for the White House, sometimes you don't have a choice. Disasters happen, and when they do, the public expects somebody to pretend to be president. The American economy is currently a disaster. Therefore, Joe Biden had to talk. So his aides dutifully led him out to the podium today to say something edifying about it. What happened next has got to be one of the weirdest presidential briefings ever conducted. New economic numbers show our GDP has declined for 2 quarters in a row. That's the definition of a recession. We're in a recession. That's why Joe Biden had to hold the briefing. And yet Biden never once mentioned those numbers, not a single time. What Joe Biden said today will get us much closer to Sri Lanka. There's kind of no dispute about that. We also know for certain that the spending under the Biden administration and under previous administrations, but certainly dramatically accelerated under Biden, has devalued the dollar to the point that we have massive inflation and a decline in GDP. Because as money loses value and things get more expensive, people at some point can't afford to buy as much, and then gross domestic product declines. It's not like some crazy theory. But what's America look like? Well, I don't know. Let's check your local food bank. There's a good chance your local food bank is overwhelmed. In Boise, Idaho, for example, the Meridian Food Bank reports they've gone from serving 2,800 people every month to 4,200 in just the last year. Another nearby food bank, called the Care House Food Bank, has reported a similar increase. A spokesman for the Care House told a local news station, quote, we're finding out that with the rising rent costs and the rising gasoline costs, the rent eats first, the gasoline eats second. So the family has very little to buy food to eat. Sound like a rich country to you? A place that's thriving, that can afford to turn its energy grid over to China? No.
For example, with respect to food, we're a net exporter of agricultural commodities, and obviously the high prices are hitting Americans very hard, but they're in a way that is different from some places that are facing famine, for example.
Oh, lower your expectations, America. That sound you're hearing is the goalpost moving. So we went very quickly now from Build Back Better to, hey, at least you're not starving to death. At least we don't have a famine, to save democracy in Ukraine. Way more important than inflation, your stupid economic concerns. Just the other day, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, the man they're telling us is the new George Washington, decided, you know what, I don't have to pretend to care about the United States anymore. I think Americans are ridiculous, decadent, overfed, and I have contempt for them. So he was asked, wait a second, can America afford to send $60 billion to your corrupt autocracy so you can shoot dramatic magazine photo covers for Vogue? Well, of course, said Zelensky, and we're quoting, inflation? Who's thinking about inflation? We're fighting for absolute communal values. What? Whose values? We're not in anything communal with you, pal. You run a corrupt little Eastern European country. We have a right to worry about our own country. And yet the White House, they agree with Zelensky.